Okay. Well, I'd say let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I'm getting some feedback from somebody. Who should I mute? Okay. Well, we can just keep going then. So welcome to the 4th annual Common Ground Conference, which is, as many of you know, an opportunity that we get once a year to be able to come together to learn from each other and learn from area experts about issues and different things that are affecting resident-owned communities throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin. This is our first ever remote event, so obviously this is going to be a very unique experience, and we look forward to working through this whole experience with you to see how we could potentially make it better in the future and also continue to increase our ability to connect remotely throughout the year. So I wanted to go over a few things, what to expect from the conference this year. Each session, there's going to be 7 sessions. This is the first of 7. We're hoping to start on time as best as possible. So if you can, get here on time, that's great. All of you were wonderfully on time, so thank you. And we'll continue to do that throughout the 7 sessions. Each session will have plenty of time for questions and answers. So come ready to be able to, come ready with issues that you're facing in your community to be able to share, to troubleshoot, or solutions that you've come up with so that we can continue to learn from each other. And and so without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's session, as today's kickoff is going to span a few different areas. We're going to have a welcome message from our new executive director, Tori Clark, who many of you already know, and she's pre-recorded a message. She apologizes that she can't be here today, but she's camping, which is, as you know, some much needed time off for Tori as she works so hard for all of us. Then I'm going to be doing an overview of the conference schedule and some of the unique features that we're going to be having this year that we didn't have in prior years because we were together and on site. And so that freed up some new areas in the budget to explore some exciting opportunities for this particular conference. At that point, I'm going to turn it over to Julie, who's going to be talking about today's specific session around technology and using it in our business setting. So how technology can help the board continue to do their business as usual in this time of COVID-19, as well as connecting with resident members. At the end, we're going to be doing some breakout sessions to troubleshoot technology and talk about different areas that we can get a little bit more, have specific, everyone has got those specific problems or things that they want to achieve in technology, so we'll have time for that. So before I start the welcome message, I wanted to go over a little bit about the etiquette of remote calls, which is obviously different than an in-person meeting. So we're meeting on Ringcentral today, and I see many of you are on video, which is great. And the thing that's hard about remote calls often is something that we've already had to troubleshoot a little bit, is background noise. So I see many of you are already muted, but if you know that you're going to be in a noisy area, or that you know that you might have some background noise or another device that's on, you can mute at the bottom left-hand side of your screen if you've connected via your laptop or computer, where you just click the mute button like this. Just click that back right on, and you'll be back unmuted. You can also use the space bar on your computer as well. Yeah, I see Marjorie's giving me the thumbs up. She likes that tool. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, when presenters are having their major presentations, you might have questions in the middle of the presentation that you want to ask, that you make sure you don't want to get lost. The bottom of the screen, you're going to see a chat function. So you can pull that up, and you can hit everyone. You can, it's a click down button, and then you can type a message to everyone in the group. So this is going to notify the facilitator or the presenter that you might have a question, and then they can respond to that when they get a chance, but they know that there's a question that pops up. So you want to make sure it doesn't get lost, but also be patient with the facilitator because they might not be able to get to those chat questions immediately, but it's just a really great way to sort of drop that note and also communicate with the rest of the team. And then there's obviously all of our, when we're in a group setting, there's community rules like just remember one microphone, try not to talk over people. Sometimes I know that's hard on remote calls. Remember to step up or step back. So if you've been talking a lot lately, like I have, take a step back and allow other people to speak. Or if you haven't spoken yet, just make sure in discussions you're going to take a step up and make sure that your voice is heard. If there's an item that's not necessarily on topic, but it's something that you think it's important to discuss, remember that we can create a parking lot. So you can bring something up and say, hey, I think we need to talk about this. Maybe now's not the time. We can put that into the proverbial parking lot so the facilitator or moderator can write that down, and we can make sure to get to that towards the end and once the current discussion is ending. And always remember to keep things positive. So I know everyone's in this together, and sometimes we're in difficult situations, and it's always important to make sure to see the positive areas of what we're encountering, no matter how bleak or trying it can be sometimes. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play you the opening remarks from Tori, and then we can get started. Are there any questions before I start the video? Okay. Let me screen share. Are you all able to see that video okay? It's just a blank screen? Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Tori Clark, recording this message from one of my favorite places in my house, my front porch. For those of you who don't already know from our announcement on social media and from the piece that we ran in the latest edition of our bi-monthly newsletter, The Cooperator, I'm the executive director of NCF. As an employee of NCF for nearly 5 years now, I am incredibly excited to take on this role at the organization.
I'm getting some people in the chat saying that the audio is faint. So I'm just going to pause it real quick. You see that the sound is all the way up. I'll turn my sound all the way up. So I'm going to turn it back on now and just write in the chat if the volume continues to be faint.
And I really look forward to working with all of you as we continue the important work of building a better world through cooperation. Now, I'd like to welcome you all to the 4th Annual Common Ground Conference. Obviously, the conference looks and feels a little different this year. For those of us that don't do a lot of virtual connecting in our day-to-day, this year's conference feels a little clunky and at times might feel a little awkward. I'm definitely feeling awkward recording this video, but we are so happy that you've joined us. The truth is, Common Ground is one of our team's favorite events of the whole year. When it became clear that having an in-person conference wouldn't be possible, our team immediately went to work to figure out a way to host the conference in an alternative format. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the entire NCF team for really going above and beyond to make the conference possible. And I'd like to make a special thank you to our newest hire and newest team member and the coordinator of this year's conference, Emily Stewart, for really stepping up. Emily, without Emily's leadership and her creative design of this whole conference, it just wouldn't be possible this year. So thank you, Emily. So why do we love Common Ground so much at NCF? Well, the short answer is that we've learned from all of you over the years how much you value the opportunity to get together with other co-op leaders. I mean, let's be real, the leadership roles that each of you take on in your communities can be challenging and sometimes can feel, frankly, kind of lonely. Common Ground is NCF's main opportunity during the year to bring all of our co-op leaders together to connect, re-energize, and most importantly, acknowledge each other for all the important work that you do throughout the year to keep your communities thriving. This coming together is especially important considering the moment we find ourselves in, amidst a global pandemic and all the other compounding stresses that are around us. As divided as our attentions might be right now, taking opportunities like this to connect and learn are important because they give us a chance to get some perspective and remember that we're not alone. And for co-op development nerds like our team at NCF, all this togetherness that Common Ground brings is a great example of cooperative principle number 6. Now, if you're not familiar with the cooperative principles, I'll spare you an in-depth analysis here, but basically the 7 co-op principles are this set of internationally recognized operating standards for co-op businesses. You can think of them kind of like a series of guideposts for co-ops that serve as ongoing reminders of the values that co-ops are founded on. And principle 6 is called cooperation among cooperatives. And the principle is all about how co-ops are committed to strengthening not only their own co-op, but also their fellow co-ops by working together through local, national, and even international structures. So Common Ground allows all of us to live out this commitment in Principle 6 to lifting each other up and staying coordinated and united as co-op business leaders. As long as we're on the topic of the co-op principles, I also can't help myself but point out that Common Ground is also an opportunity to flex co-op principle number 5, which is all about cooperatives' commitment to education, training, and information. One of the things I think is so awesome about the co-op business model is how co-op business owners the world over recognize the critical factor of providing education and training for not only co-op members and employees, but also for the wider community. We think a lot about Principle 5 at NCF because it's such a critical part of our mission in developing and supporting co-ops. And events like Common Ground are one of the ways that we connect the co-ops that we work with and support to the ongoing education and training that you all need to continue your growth and your improvement as a business. That all being said, one of the things that we've talked about as a staff leading up to this year's conference is how heavy on Principle 5 this year's conference will be, and unfortunately, how light it will be on the Principle 6 side. In other words, we're able to deliver the education and training in this virtual format, but the relationship building and the peer-to-peer support that you all look forward to and we look forward to is challenging to achieve because we're separated by computers and telephones. For that reason, I wanted to use these opening remarks to really encourage all of you to seek out opportunities to connect with each other throughout the conference in ways you might not typically, whether that's through social media or reaching out with a phone call or a text message, just finding time to build relationships with leaders from other communities, because those networks of peer support are so important. And if there are ways that we can help you at NCF to make those connections with each other, please let us know. That's why we're here, and that's one of the things we love so much about this conference. Now, we've got a really awesome lineup of sessions this year. We're covering everything from community beautification to handling collections in the era of COVID-19 to strategies for filling vacant lots. And we have an impressive slate of expert panelists joining us for many of the sessions. We hope that you can join us for as many of the sessions as your schedule allows, but we'll also be recording the sessions, which will make it accessible for viewing after the conference. Well, that's all for me. Thank you for participating in this year's conference. We really hope that you learn a lot and that you find those moments for connection. Take care.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone was able to hear those wonderful and inspiring open remarks about the conference and the goals that we have for this coming week and the 7 sessions. And as promised, after Tori's remarks, I wanted to go a little bit over the schedule and talk about some of the unique features that the rest of the sessions are going to be offering. So if you're going to let me, I'm going to share my desktop one more time and then share our conference poster. So you should have received this in the mail through your co-op, and it just allows you to go through and kind of see all the different sessions that we're going to be offering this coming week. So obviously today it's getting down to business using technology, really focusing on G Suite, Gmail, as well as the use of Ringcentral. On tomorrow from 3 to 4 p.m., Julie Massa with Julie Martinez is going to talk about communication and conflict resolution, which will also include some usage of how technology can broker some of those conversations as well. On Tuesday, September 22nd, we'll be doing Mastering Curb Appeal through Beautification. Tori will be joining Jason Rath of Field Outdoor Spaces, where they're going to be talking about how beautification can be a tool that can be used in marketing your community to new residents, but also continue to beautify your own space for the well-being of the whole community. On Wednesday, the 23rd, Solving Infill, what one community did to tackle their vacant lots. So Zumbro Ridge Estates has been able to place 9 homes in their community by brokering a relationship with the Rochester Area Foundation, as well as First Homes and First Alliance Credit Union. The roster there has changed a bit. Tori is going to be facilitating the conversation. Ali Lechner is joining them, as well as Amanda Adams from First Alliance Credit Union and Justin Voss from First Homes. Infrastructure readiness will be happening on Thursday, September 24th from 6 to 7:15 p.m. So we're going to be talking about how your community can get ready for major infrastructure changes or improvement projects that you'll need to tackle going forward. And then the last day of the conference, Saturday, September 26th, we're doubling up 2 sessions. First is at 10 a.m., what's going on in my community. So Pat Streeter, along with Bobby Grubb, are going to be facilitating that conversation about successes and challenges communities are facing all over Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then concluding the conference is an important conversation about collections in the age of COVID. Karen Lundquist from the University of Minnesota Law School will be joining Tom Gettler in a conversation of managing accounts receivable and the legal implications of notices and such throughout this period of pandemic. So I saw that there was a chat. Marjorie says, talking about connecting with one another as your region's ROC Association Director, I want to invite you to attend the Better Together calls, a nationwide call with residents from all ROCs coming together. The first is Saturday, first Saturday of each month, but they're looking to move it to Wednesday. And an email, I can forward out an email from Marjorie to everyone to see if people would be interested in joining that important discussion. So thank you, Marjorie, for sharing that. Marjorie is our regional, what is your role again? It's your regional, your board member on the ROC USA board and your ROC Association regional representative. Is that correct? Wonderful. She's been doing a ton of hard work, and I know that she's been working a lot on this education seminar group. So very excited to include that as well. So some unique features of this conference, obviously everything is going to be hosted on Ringcentral, which is the platform that you're using right now. You might also be using it for your board meetings, or like Marjorie's using it for her education meetings as well. It's a really cool and unique tool that we'll be talking a little bit more about today. So let's see, along with that, we have designed a very cool t-shirt for our Common Ground 2020 participants. So by attending one session, so all of you today will be receiving a t-shirt in the mail. I sent out a little Google form a couple days ago, so be sure to respond to that so I know your mailing address as well as your preferred t-shirt size if you haven't already given that to me. And then I think the most exciting part about this year's conference is the cost savings that we had from not being an in-person event meant that we could offer 2 $1,000 grants for communities. So communities will be chosen at random based on participation. So your participation today is 1 vote for the grant that will be offered around technology today through this session. So we'll be putting those in a pot together, choosing them at random, and we'll be announcing at the end of the conference what community won that $1,000 technology grant. Now, that could be used for anything. It's at the discretion of the board within the scope of technology. So maybe you're looking to get a paid subscription to SurveyMonkey because you're looking to, get the word out, or different platforms like that. Maybe you need another office computer because you have more people needing to access Word or your Google Drive that might not already have access to it. That's really at the discretion of the board. There's one other session that has this $1,000 grant opportunity, and that's happening on Tuesday. It's the Mastering Curb Appeal through Beautification. That $1,000 grant will be used for beautification. So again, your participation is 1 vote in that pot. For your community, it'll be chosen at random, announced at the end of the conference. And your board will determine how you'd like to use that. Maybe it's you need new shrubs out front, a new sign, a new fence, or maybe that's getting advertising in the local paper about letting people know that you've got lots available, or that what your community is doing. It could be all sorts of different advertising there. So again, this is, I think, the most exciting and cool part about it, but obviously the connection is the most important part. So I don't want to be taking up too much of the time with some of this logistical stuff. We're at 1:30 now, which leaves us about an hour to go through the main part of the session, getting down to business with technology. So I am going to turn this over to Julie to get the session started. And then I guess before that, if there's any questions, feel free to put them in the chat about, the first part, but the rest of the session will be dedicated to technology.
Thanks, Emily. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm getting thumbs up. I think Peggy is on a phone.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Okay.
I can hear you,
me
Julie.
okay?
Hi.
Great. Hi. So you're not seeing us on the computer, right?
No, I'm on the phone, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Just want to make sure. Yeah, so welcome everybody. It's great to see you. Like Emily and Tori said, we're kind of bummed we couldn't all be together in person because this is such a fun event every year for us, and there's just so much energy around sharing between co-ops. So for this session, we really wanted to just focus on technology, since we're kind of forced to use it now more regularly than we did before. And we wanted to kind of use this time to identify what some of the barriers are, what questions we can try to help answer, and really see if we can use this time productively to get more people connected to using just technology in general. So whether it's a conference call or using G Suite, using the co-op's email addresses that we've set up. We've had kind of a rollout of G Suite and all of these tools over the last couple of years, to varying degrees of usage. So I would say for the most part, most of the communities in our portfolio are not using G Suite on the regular, or doing remote meetings currently. So we're hoping to use this time to kind of focus on what the barriers are. We've done a lot of training and produced materials around it, but I think it'll be helpful for us to hear from you, kind of what you think could move the needle with not only board members, but also community members, to help kind of loop everybody in and get a little bit better connected. So just to kind of get us going, I was hoping we could go around and introduce ourselves. And so if you can say your name, your community, or if you're from NCF, you can say what you do at NCF. And then the question I have is, what is your favorite thing about technology? And what is your least favorite thing? So this could be anything related to technology. It could be social, it could be maybe you have a medical device that uses technology, or you know, in your personal life, you use technology for communicating with family or whatever it may be. But you can think of kind of what you like about that use of technology, and then what's something that you don't like about. So I can kick us off. So I'm Julie. I think everyone knows me in this group. We're a small group. So my favorite thing about technology is being able to send like chats or gifts to my coworkers. We have a lot of fun sending each other, you know, fun little videos, and it's just kind of, while we're separated right now, it gives a nice little break in the day, and a welcome distraction. So that's something that I've really been enjoying, is we use Slack and we can just send each other a message, and if someone's busy, they don't have to look at it, but if they're around, maybe it'll be funny to them. My least favorite thing about technology is managing passwords. It feels like everywhere you go, you have to set up an account and a username and a password, and it gets very, very tiring. So that is by far my least favorite thing. I know there's tools out there that you can purchase to save all your passwords. I haven't gotten around to doing that on my personal account, but it's certainly something that is my least favorite, because it feels like an extra level of security, even if it's a very like silly website. You know, if I'm buying dog food online, you know, it's like the levels of security involved sometimes is kind of annoying to me. So I'll go back around. Let's see, Pat, do you want to share? Introduce yourself and kind of what you like about technology and what you don't like.
Sure. Hi, my name is Pat Streeter. I'm from Park Plaza Cooperative. One of the things I like about technology is being able to more easily keep in touch with each other, much like we're doing today. And regarding personal passwords, I have a little 3-ring, a spiral bound notebook where I can put down every site address, every password, every logon. I've got it going on there. One of the things I don't like about technology as much is when a website or an app isn't as user-friendly as you think it should be or wish it was, and you kind of struggle to work your way through that. But other than that, technology is good. I'm liking it.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
I'll also say that Pat is also on the NCF board. So we're hoping to get more community leaders on our board. If you're ever thinking about it, she's someone who can talk to you more about it. Marjorie, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Marjorie Gilsrud, and I live in Medelia Mobile Village, located in southern Minnesota. I'm also the Rock Association Director for the Midwest, East, and South region. And currently, that puts me also on the Rock USA Board of Directors. I'm really enjoying all the learning that I'm going through with all the meetings. And where we just finished up the RLI with hosting and helping with some of those. My biggest challenge, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, is it seems like technology is forever changing. And in some ways it's nice because you go back 5 years, 6 years, this year probably wouldn't be happening with the Ringcentral. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just didn't seem like I knew at least of this technology to this point at that point. But then sometimes it seems to move so fast, you know more and learn something, think you got it down, and it's already old, and you, in order to do what you need to do, you need to be up to date with something else. But to give you an idea, with typing and sending documents off as we were putting things together for RLI, I was used to WordPerfect 5.1. Some of you guys may not have even been born after WordPerfect 5.1. And so it was just like, oh, okay. So it was just like, all right, I got it typed. Now, how do I send it? And what do I do? So, but yeah, so I guess that's it.
Cool, thanks. I'm just going to the next square. So Emily, do you want to share?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Emily. I work at NCF. I'm the newest staff member, and I'm the housing program associate. My favorite thing about technology is learning new things. So I don't know if any of you have ever, I don't know, if something goes wrong with your sink or your toilet and you're like, I don't know how to fix this. And then you can go on YouTube and just Google it and watch a few videos, and it can be an easy fix. And it's really cool that all of that is at our fingertips. So it feels really empowering to be able to go Google something and be like, for instance, my catalytic converter got stolen on my car a few weeks ago. And I didn't know what was happening, and I Googled it, and I learned what happened, and then I Googled what to do about it, and they told me that car insurance can cover it. So I had to get on the phone with my car insurance and where to take it and all this stuff. But I could also Google on YouTube, like, what does that actually mean? You know, what are the different things that I should consider? And yeah, it just felt, I don't know anything about cars, so that felt like a really empowering thing to have as technology, as a tool to figure that out. And then my least favorite thing is that I never seem to disconnect. So there's a sense of immediacy with technology that's really great, but if you're always connected, then you never really get away from it. And so finding ways to leave my phone when I'm not working or is hard, because then somebody else in your private life might not be able to get a hold of you. And so finding those mechanisms to create balance between your public and private life, I think, is difficult, but something that I am attempting to achieve more frequently. So that's fine.
Cool, great. I'm going to go to Carlton. Are you close enough to the computer to?
Carlton Dahl, Director of Park Plaza. Trying to think about what I like about technology when I have so many things I hate about it. I'd say it's good because I like all the information that I can get on there.
You can mute one of those.
It is. And things I hate about technology is it's complicated. Yes, and like someone else said, too many passwords and all that. And it's just gets to be too much for me sometimes. But I like playing solitary on it. That's about it.
All right, thanks. I think there's a bit of an echo because you guys have both of you in the same room, but I think we got your general message there, Carlton. Thank you. Let's go to Natividad.
Hopefully, oh, this is gonna, okay, tell me if you can hear me if I mute for 1 second. We have 2 computers going right now to make this work. Hold on 1 second.
We hear you, Natividad.
We're gonna turn it down. Okay, all right. I'm Natividad, president of Park Plaza Cooperative. Welcome everybody, it's good to see your faces. Sorry it's not in person, this sucks. What I like about technology is this. Even though we are having to stay away from each other, we still can stay connected. Had to learn how to use every possible call-in mode that you can imagine because there's more than one, right? So then your phone gets filled with all these apps, then your phone tells you, guess what? You're too full. So then you have to erase them, and then it's like somebody says, can you join this meeting this afternoon? Then you have to reload it again and get rid of something else. So that's one of the downfalls about it, and one of the pluses is being able to connect. We've been able to use this to have our board meetings, so it's been very helpful with that, which helps a lot because we haven't had to put anything on hold. Probably maybe the first meeting, I don't remember now, it's been so long. But then you have the issue of how do you do it if you happen to be in your car and be able to still be on a meeting, which happens a lot for myself because usually those calls are during the time I'm transferring from work to home. So I think technology is pretty cool, and I wish there wasn't so many apps to have to pick from. That sucks.
All right, thanks. How about Peggy? You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Peggy Claflin, Pemmel Creek Estates in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Favorite thing is like everybody else, being able to connect and learn things. This week I've gotten on YouTube to learn how to do QuickBooks. It's something I'm going to have to be learning how to do. So that was pretty cool. Like everyone else, passwords. Oh my Lord. Those are, yeah, new password for everything. And it's just, if you get a senior moment, I forgot, you know, where did I write it down? Did I write it down? So yeah, that can be a pain.
All right, thank you. And last but not least, we'll go to Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I work at NCF. Yeah, I mean, my most favorite thing is just the opportunity to stay in touch with everybody in so many different ways. You know, and a lot of it, I was just thinking about this, we take for granted because it wasn't all that long ago. Like most of the folks in this call can remember the days when we didn't have cell phones and email, and all we could do was write letters or pick up a phone and wait for somebody to return your call the next day. And so along with that, my least favorite thing is that it just raises expectations that, you know, we are going to be like instantly responding to everything all the time to everybody. And so the hard thing about that too is that for folks who don't use technology or aren't comfortable with technology, it excludes them, it leaves them out of the loop. So we tend to, I think, assume that everybody has a grasp on the basic technology, that everybody has cell phones and an email address, for example. And if you don't, wow, it's really tough to stay in touch with those folks. We find that out especially as TA providers, that we have to stop a lot of time and say, wow, you know, what's the way that we can communicate that will include everybody and not just those folks who have access to technology. So it's really difficult to, I think, manage expectations around what people are capable of doing.
Definitely, I can attest to that. I think a lot of us at NCF use technology so regularly that, you know, it's a bit of a barrier for us to figure out ways to not use it or to work around it. And it's kind of like talking to someone that doesn't have a phone at all, like, you know, many years ago. So I'm seeing some of the chat is around having a beeper. And Natividad had a bag phone for my first call. A bag phone, Marjorie? I don't know what that is.
It was a phone that was inside of a bag, and it had a cord almost like your old rotary phones. It had the cord, and then you plugged it into your cigarette lighter, and then it had the it was a different connect analog instead of the digital or whatever. It was the analog kind. So it would, even when you didn't have service, you could still use it for the 911 and everything way back in the day. So
Wow.
that was it.
Well, I've already learned something new. I know what a beeper is. I didn't know there were such kinds of phones. So. Well, thanks for that, everyone. I think it's helpful to get a sense of kind of what people's thoughts are on this, and also just break the ice. I guess before we move on, are people, I guess one thing that would be helpful for us to cater this session is, are people using remote meeting technology for your board meetings? Is that Natividad shaking her head yes. So it sounds like Park Plaza is doing that. And are you using Ringcentral or Google Meet, or just doing a phone call?
What are we doing, Tom?
We're using Google Meet, which allows people to call in even if they don't have a computer. They can still use the phone like Peggy is doing today.
Okay. So Park Plaza is using Google Meet, and do you all use, does Park Plaza use G Suite for like saving your documents and accessing? Yes, okay. How about Medelia, Marjorie?
We are kind of a combination. We are using Ringcentral. Some of us have not been at the office, and the others are all going to the office with joining Emily and sometimes you, Julie, on the Ringcentral. I've done some at home and some from the office. So it's just mainly because some of them don't have the computer access or comfortable in, they would have the access but not comfortable with using it and not willing to learn how to use it. So.
Okay, and as far as I know, you guys don't really use G Suite, like the Google.
No, we use Ringcentral.
Okay.
I'm sorry, with the G Suite, I was thinking something else. I was thinking of a little bit, but the problem that I have with it is on some of my devices it's on, and on other devices it's not, and trying to, depending on what device, and if I'm on a device that it isn't there, I'm more likely to do my documents in like the Word and then do it that way, because it's on some of my devices and not on all of them.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we can troubleshoot today. And then Peggy, are you guys using anything for video calls?
Not video, no.
Okay.
Well, Bobby does, but the rest of us have just been using Ringcentral or Google Meet. Had one with that, but not so much video.
Okay, so on Ringcentral, people are just calling in and using it that way?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then are you using G Suite for saving documents? And
I don't, but Bobby does.
okay.
I'm still, I guess I don't use G Suite as much as I should. I'm just more comfortable with the other one. That's the old person in me, you know, not wanting to change. But
that's okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. Bobby saves everything on G Suite, so.
Okay, great. So I was going to do a brief overview of Ringcentral for everyone. Obviously, you all joined it today, so that's one major accomplishment. But just as you think about using it with the rest of the board and or with members eventually, I was just going to kind of touch on some of the capabilities that it has. So let me share my screen. I suppose Peggy won't see this, but I will be walking through it, so no problem.
Okay, that's fine.
So here's some kind of reminders or just kind of basic pieces to Ringcentral if you aren't familiar with it, and I can email this list to everyone too. But it is a free service through Rock USA, and so all of us have subscriptions to it. We can help you use it. When you get an invite to join Ringcentral, each call is going to have a different link and a different ID number. So don't save, the old link from a month ago. Every single time you have a meeting, it might be a different number. So that's just something to keep in mind. You're going to need to refer to the email that you got when you get invited to a Ringcentral meeting. Anytime you want to do a test run with us, just let us know. We as staff are also kind of learning how to use all of this. We go between Google Meet and Ringcentral, and when we're dealing with external folks, sometimes it's Zoom. There was another one I used too, and I don't recall the name, but there's so many different platforms that we're also kind of learning, and they all have slightly different options. So please let us know if you or anyone in the community wants help with some of this stuff. Also, as part of our USDA grant, one of the activities is enhancing the tech capability of our co-op. So we literally have funding to do this. So if you think of anything that would be useful in your community, just reach out and we're happy to try to help with that. When you are using Ringcentral, it's a good idea to kind of get on early to do some of that troubleshooting. We did that today with sound and video. So it's always helpful just to plan to have a little bit of extra time, in case people are having issues getting connected. That's the same with planning to send out materials before the meeting, which we all, I think, try to do as best we can to get an agenda out to folks, to get financials out if possible. And then, making sure that people have something to look at, especially if you're not doing a video call. So if you're just joining by phone, making sure everyone has like a packet of information so that you're all looking at the same thing. Obviously, you want to minimize your agenda if possible. And I think all of you probably naturally do that within your communities, just try to focus on what needs to get voted on by the board. And if you are making any decisions using roll call, so making sure that you go one by one, kind of how we just did the intros, kind of calling on people, recording their vote so that it's clear. And then if you are recording a call, which Ringcentral allows you to do, I would recommend letting everyone know that. I don't know if anyone does record calls, but we can talk more about that if needed. One thing that could be helpful is to kind of figure out who's going to chair the meeting and also who's going to chair or kind of host the tech side of it. So that could be the same person, or maybe another board member could be the contact to help folks that need to get connected. So that's probably more common if you have a larger group or if you're having like a membership meeting, but it's it can be helpful just to have someone that can be available via text to support others trying to get in. If you're using, oh, we talked about muting. If you're using video, you can turn your camera on and off typically. If it freezes, you're probably using a lot of bandwidth, so you might want to just turn off the video portion of it. And then also checking your internet connection. So earlier in the pandemic, I had to upgrade our internet at home because I just kept freezing. So I thought it was something to do with my computer, but it was really just the speed of our internet. So that's always something that's good to look into. And then when all else fails, if you're not able to get into a call, you know, disconnect. If you're on your computer, maybe just close it out and then try calling in if you just are having too many issues. So these are just some kind of general tips on using Ringcentral. The other program we use a lot is Google Meet. The main difference between the two is that Google Meet, I don't believe you can record, correct me if I'm wrong, and there isn't a chat function. Unless I'm missing something. So there's just a few different, and there's not breakout rooms. So that's another thing that Ringcentral can do if you want to have, like, divide this group. If we wanted to divide right now into, you know, Park Plaza, give them their own room, we can do that from the call. So there's all kinds of things you can do if you have a large number of people on a call. You can do breakout rooms so that you have some separation, like if you needed to do an executive session or something like that. There's a lot of capability with Ringcentral, and it sounds like most of you are using it. So are there any Ringcentral specific questions that folks have, or is it kind of working for you for calls?
And Ringcentral is kind of like pretty close with Zoom, correct? Don't they use pretty close to the same format?
Yeah, I think they're pretty similar. I haven't done like a side-by-side comparison, but yeah, they have similar functions with the video and chat and all that, and recording. Let's see. So it's almost 2. So I'll switch to G Suite unless there's anything else on Ringcentral in particular that.
Julie, I just had a question. Is we have a subscription to Ringcentral, so we can use it. There's no charge for NCF. Would any of our communities, are they also able to use Ringcentral free of charge?
I think it would have to be through us, if I'm not mistaken. So like the TA provider would need to schedule the meeting.
Okay, so Google Meet is, because we have them all set up with Google, right? They all have Gmail. So if they have an account, Google Meet is free, but Ringcentral probably not.
But then you can't record your meetings.
Correct.
And if you're using that for a source of the notes for the secretary, then that's one of the things that we're doing. And then he's listening to the meeting to take his notes.
So, yep, that's one of the main differences. I think with Ringcentral, if the TA provider is setting it up, then that's your main way of using it. But I think you'd probably have to have a subscription if you were to do it on your own. And then it should be that as a question. It'd be nice to be able to record the meetings since you're doing meetings and doing the notes. Yeah.
So I was just going to mention with my communities, what happens is Marjorie or Peggy will email me and say when the board meeting is set, and then I'll immediately make that meeting for them and then invite all of the board. So it's very minimal in terms of my, like it's all directed by the board president or on-site manager for when it gets set up. And it's pretty easy for us to just go in and set that meeting up so that you can get all of the extra features through Ringcentral.
So Emily, could, if you set up the meeting, what if you don't attend? Can you set up a meeting that they want to attend, but not yourself?
Yes. So there's a feature at the bottom when you set up the meeting that says that attendees can arrive without the host being present. So I had that for today's meeting. So Julie and Pat were in the meeting before I was attending, and I was the host of the meeting.
Yeah, so if you all wanted to do meetings on Ringcentral and have them recorded, we can just set it up. We don't have to even be there. So,
And then you would also have the ability to assign one of them as host, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do people have any issues with getting into a Ringcentral call, or is it? I know there's a lot of phone numbers listed on the invite, which as the host is something you can change and just have the number that's local to you. But you know, sometimes people get really confused with all the different numbers. But it sounds like everyone here has been using it pretty regularly, so so that's great. Let's see.
One just last thing that I'll mention quickly is with Ringcentral, I know all of you seem very tech savvy with Ringcentral, but you might have trouble getting other board members to be excited or want to learn about Ringcentral. And Rock USA has put together a few videos on their YouTube, which I can link into the chat in a second, that you could play at your next board meeting to get people just on the same page with where you're at, and also with Julie's checklist. So in some ways you can see this training around Ringcentral as you yourself becoming a trainer for your for other board members as well as other residents.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, for mentioning that. And then Natividad, can you send that out via email as well? So yeah, Emily will send that out. Yeah, fortunately, there's a lot of videos out there. So if that's the method that's useful for you, you know, that'd be good to share it at the next board meeting. Okay, so the next piece I was going to go over was just G Suite. And everyone, so every ROC in our portfolio has a G Suite account set up. So all board members should have access to it. I know folks have lost their passwords or don't remember how to get in, and there's been some confusion around that. But I just wanted to show you a couple things. So let me share my screen. So this is kind of the Drive folder structure. So this is just everything that is on Google Drive for every co-op. And this is what we as staff have access to. So it's a lot of information, but it's really the new way that we're using Google Suite. So anytime you need to reference old minutes, if you want to look at your original engineer's report, if you want to review your policies or your community rules, all of that is in one place. So it's very, very easy once you're in there to kind of figure out how to navigate. You know, there's a section on just the board of directors information, the organizational documents, so the big bylaws, rules, those kind of things. And then if you are looking for specifically, you know, meeting minutes, that's in number 7. So it's just really useful. I find to have all this in the same place And that's one of the biggest reasons that we shifted to doing G Suite, is that we had all this information on our own internal server, and now it's available to anyone that has a Google Suite account. So the other added benefit is using Google Docs, and that way multiple people can be looking at the same document and editing it, and it will save automatically, so you don't have to keep going back in and making sure that you're, you know, saving everything. So one of the main reasons, like I said, is that we want to make sure people have access from any device. You don't have to go through NCF. All you have to do is log in. We are also administering it for you. So if something isn't working, we can go in and figure it out for you. You don't have to get involved with any tech IT support or anything. And you don't have to download any software. So it's all just located there on the cloud. So as long as you have internet access, you can access your Google Suite Drive folder is what I guess it's technically called. So I'll stop sharing that. But so I would say, you know, the key thing is probably logging in. I know a lot of folks are having issues with logging in. But if we can work through that as a barrier, I think people will find that it's very easy to use, and hopefully can help other board members get logged in and navigate around. So we just want to make sure everyone has access to everything that we do, and that will make your work a lot easier, I think. You won't have to be waiting on TA providers to look for a document for you. You can just go in and search it. So maybe we can just go through, and if kind of what would you all say are some of your major barriers with G Suite, or not, or things that you are using that's working? So Natividad said, we love it now that we know how to use it. It helps a ton if we need to look at our contracts, minutes, and more. We use it to do both the agenda and minutes every month. So that's great. That can be a huge time-consuming process if you don't use Google Doc or the Drive. Some boards take notes by hand, and then they need to find a way to either type it up or scan it, and then send it to me, and then send it, then I save it to the Drive. So there's just a lot of work, I think, that can be cut down if people use the tools that are available. I know it's something new for some people, but it's really going to make everyone's workload, lighter. So that's great to hear that you guys are using it so much in Park Plaza. And are all the board members using G Suite, or is it mostly the secretary and the board? You're muted, so I couldn't hear.
We're all using it except for a couple that do not have internet.
Okay. How about Peggy? Would you say that it's mostly just the board secretary that's using Google Suite, G Suite?
Yeah, for the most part, I'll use it to go back and get documents. Like if I run out of the occupancy agreements and print those off, or look at the budgets, see where we were, what we need to do. So yeah, as far as going into that area, that saves a lot of time rather than trying to hunt for something I put away. But Bobby does use it more than I do.
Mm-hmm. And the other board members aren't using it,
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
no.
So the other component to G Suite is the email aspect. And if anyone else has a regular Google Gmail account, it's pretty much the same, but it would just be for co-op use. So we've set up, you know, president at Park Plaza, president Medelia, all of those accounts. So every single board member has an account. I know many don't use it, so maybe that's something we could touch on as far as ways we could get people to use it more, or at least become more familiar with it. Yeah, Marjorie.
I was going to say, one of the problems that I have is it used to be on my phone that if you guys sent me a message in G Suite through just the president thing, that I would still see it under all my accounts. But now I have to log in specifically into the G Suite before I see it. So chances are, if you guys are sending me something important, if it's sent just to the G Suite president, I may not necessarily see it pop up in my emails. It may be a while. I don't know why, but I have to specifically go in to the G Suite part, because it's not, even if I do the all accounts or whatever for pulling up, it does not pull up that. I have to log in specifically to the G Suite thing or whatever in order to see my emails. And I don't, on this new computer, I can't access the G Suite. And I can on the tablet and I can on the phone.
Okay, so maybe that's something we could troubleshoot with you separately.
Okay.
Let's see. And also, just kind of as a reminder as to why we're doing any of this with the emails, is that A, it's easier for NCF because we don't have to keep track of different email addresses every time there's new board members. So if we have a president, vice president, secretary, et cetera, for every co-op, no matter who changes that position, sorry, my cat's playing with the bag. No matter who changes that position, we know that it'll still be the same email account. So that's one reason. And another one is just for conducting business and having a professional email account that reflects your community name. So if you're emailing a vendor or if you're emailing someone at Rock USA, they know exactly who they're talking to. So all of us, you know, work with a lot of different communities. It can be confusing, and it's really helpful to see, oh, this is secretary at Camel Creek Estates. Got it right away on the email. So it's also just helps to keep it separate from maybe some of your personal emails, because it's a little bit more like a work email, and we maintain it. So if you have turnover on your board, we would get the new person set up with a password, and they would be ready to go. So, so maybe we could do troubleshooting with Marjorie on that particular issue. Does anyone else have a specific issue to troubleshoot when it comes to G Suite? Or are you all good with logging in and accessing your files? Looks like
we're
Park
good on
Plaza
that.
is looking at it. You're good, Peggy? Okay.
Yep.
So how about other like board members? What do you think that the other barriers are for folks? Is it
I think
mostly
that
that
the others other than Bobby are on phone, and I don't know how it works on the phones. I mean,
so they think that they maybe can't use it from their phone?
yeah, I'm not
Okay.
really sure. It's not something that, you know, we even talked about. So at our next meeting, that's something we can bring up and see how well it works on their phones. I know Shane has a problem with PDFs on his phone, so, but this is an app, right?
Yeah, yep.
So, yeah, it would just be a matter of, seeing if the app works on their phone. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't, but just getting everybody used to it again, or used to it.
Yeah. Yep. So I use it on my phone, especially when I'm out in the field, and you can still access all the same things. It's not that much different. It's a little bit harder to see, obviously, on a smaller screen. The layout changes, but so I will. So I made a note of troubleshooting with Marjorie for the G Suite. I did end up skipping a section, so I might go back to kind of examples on how people are using technology that Emily was going to share with everyone. So sorry about that, Emily.
Oh, no worries. I just wanted, I'm going to share my screen quickly just because there's some cool stuff that other communities are doing that I wanted to be able to share with you around the country. And this can give you some some ideas rather about not just Ringcentral and not just G Suite, but other tools that you can use, especially as membership meetings come around the corner, and how every community is trying to figure out how to manage remote voting, so membership actions or membership meetings without actual physical meetings. So first off, I was going to go from an example because they used a really cool service called Dial My Calls. Has anyone heard of that? Dial My Calls? Okay, so in Conifer Green in Kingston, Mass, had to quickly get a vote done in 30 days because they had a bid that was good for repairs and leaks and mold in their clubhouse. And since it was $20,000, they needed a membership vote for it. So what they did is they first sent out an email to all the residents with an explanation about the issue and then the vote that was going to happen. And then the board put in place a series of robocalls in case they didn't have somebody's email address, or in case, the potential of somebody not checking their email in that quickly of a time period. So they used this service, Dial My Calls. I'm going to go to the website in 1 second. But just as a result, they used it twice. It was a free service, and they were informing people of the vote. And then at the end, they also informed people that it passed with an overwhelming majority. So they were able to keep in touch without having to constantly send a series of letters to all residents, which can, as we all know, can be time consuming and also expensive with postage. So obviously this would require you all to have phone numbers and email addresses for member residents. But this might be also a good opportunity to get people on the same page and to actually find that. So this is their voice broadcasting service. I'll provide this in the email along with the thing I mentioned earlier, but I wanted to just quickly play this video for you guys. It's a minute video, and it just gives you a little bit of a sense of, how it works.
You need to make some calls. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 or even 3, but a few, hundreds, thousands. That's where dialmycalls.com comes in. Our web-based system lets you easily record your message and send it to a list of phone numbers in seconds. Simply create an account, record your own message, enter or import a list of phone numbers, and then Dial My Calls sends out all of your calls for you and gives you a detailed report with what happened on every call. What once took hours or even days now only takes minutes. Best of all, it's completely free to try. Dial My Calls is used by tens of thousands of individuals and organizations around the country, from sports teams.
It just gives you a little bit of a sense of how that technology works. The rest of it is just a sales call. But there's obviously other services out there that do this, but this is a free service that was used by another co-op. And so I felt like this was a good place to start with getting people understanding how one service can be used in that way. So another thing is the Northeast Rocks actually got together and put together a Facebook page. So obviously NCF has a Facebook page and we've been sharing relevant information, but other communities are actually going out and creating their own Facebook page and getting people to sign up in their community, because Facebook is just a really great way to connect and then to share information that way. So if that's not something that your community is already using, you can go here. Again, I'll send this email out to everyone, but you'll be able to see, you know, just some of the different things that they're sharing, some of the resources that are out there, and sending messages to the entire group. So again, this can be a more social way, but just another way to think about how social media can play a part in connecting with residents. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is something called DocuSign. So when you have membership meetings, board actions without meetings, sometimes it can be really hard to connect and get those signatures from everyone. So I know that we've talked about how technology can be overwhelming, and I don't want to make all of this seem overwhelming. I just wanted to bring up to the point that we have these resources at our fingertips that are free. So we have a service through ROC that we can help you upload these documents and get digital signatures. So I'm just going to play this quick minute video to give you a sense about how this works. Again, it's very short, but it's something that we can walk you through. It's something that you can use in your own community. Oops.
You need to be always on, always connected, whether in the office or on the go. DocuSign is the fast, secure way to send, sign, and approve documents anytime, from anywhere. Here's how it works. From any device, pick a document that needs to be signed. Add people who need to sign it. Then place the signature tag and indicate any fields like company name or phone number. And click send. The recipient then receives an email asking them to sign. If they're a first-time DocuSign user, they can select a pre-drawn signature or choose to draw their own on their mobile device. Once the requested information is complete and the document is signed, everyone is alerted and the document is stored electronically for your records. So you can always access it quickly and securely.
Okay, so that just gives you another sense of another tool that's out there to be able to quickly use that we can walk you through. So again, these are just some of the different examples that you can make your lives a little bit easier. I know that I'm going to stop sharing now. This is just again, this is not supposed to be overwhelming as much as it's just supposed to be informational. It's not something you have to use. It's just something that's at your fingertips and that it is free. So, oh, sorry, you couldn't hear it, Natividad? Oh no, is that the same for everyone?
It's okay, we read it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I had the volume all the way up, so I don't know what was happening there. Well, again, I'll forward these out to everyone so that you can see these resources and sort of look through them and see if they work for your community. So those examples were just to get you excited about technology. We don't know how long the pandemic is going to last and how, being remote makes sense, how long that's going to be. And so the more that we can use these tools and learn these tools, it's just, I don't know, the more I learn, the more I think how cool they can be. Oh, that was loud. Okay, so I'll turn this back over to Julie now.
Yeah, so I guess we just have about 5 minutes left. If anyone had any questions right now that they wanted to tackle as far as helping folks get connected with tech in their community, or otherwise we can finish up and just do some troubleshooting. So is there anything tech related you folks have on top of mind right now?
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I set up a Facebook for us a long time ago, like when we first started, and then it like came back at some point. It said it was I had 2 Facebooks, so it wanted me to delete the one for the community. So I had to set up a different way, and it doesn't allow me to invite as many people the way that it's set up now. It would be nice if we had a template to be able to do it all the same way. So something's not right on there right now where I can't invite all the residents. They have to actually like it before they can be invited.
Okay.
That's very good to
Is
know.
it a,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
I was going to ask, is it a group or a page or?
I'll have to share it with you, Julie. Pat,
Okay.
are you you're on that Facebook, right, Pat? Yeah. And I don't know if Carlton, are you on the one for here, the Park Plaza Facebook?
I can get on it.
You can get on it. Okay. It's just it's
am.
more business-like than it is like a regular Facebook.
Okay. And then Medelia has a Facebook page as well. But
I think we've had a couple of them or whatever. I don't know if
Okay.
it's like a real active one. I know I created one at one time, and Stephanie did. I honestly don't know where we're at with that right now.
Okay. How about in lacrosse? Do you all use a Facebook page?
No, Bobby set one up, but that's something that we are looking to do this year, is getting an actual Facebook page up.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like that's a really common tool that folks use. And I know tomorrow, Julie and I will be talking about Facebook pages a little bit as far as with doing member communication. But yeah, Natividad, did you have something else?
Yeah, I do have a question. There also when we had our old Facebook, we had a one person that was very negative and then pulled in people from the outside. So that was another reason for getting rid of the old one. So I asked Rock USA to help with a policy. So there is a policy available for Facebook and for you to utilize and be able to have control over your Facebook and negativity. So just wanted to put that out there that it's available.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. There is a Facebook usage policy. I think that's what it's called, at least. All right, well, yeah, it sounds like we could probably help with some of the troubleshooting around the Facebook page and with the Google account. Any other last questions, comments anyone wants to make? Maybe once we get all those accounts straightened out, we can, where's lunch? Yeah, exactly. But maybe once everyone has their accounts straightened out, we can all get connected to each other's Facebook pages. That might be nice to see what other folks are doing. If you're posting information there, I know Hillcrest has a Facebook page. I don't know if Five Lakes does, but there's a lot out there. So that would be great to get connected that way. Emily, do you have any other takeaways or closing?
No, I was just hoping to get a sense of how everyone's feeling at the end, just about kickoff, common ground, takeaways from the session. I don't know if we want to do like a quick go around and just sort of see how everyone's feeling, see how people are thinking about this session and some of the upcoming sessions. Pat, you haven't talked in a while. Do you want to kick us off with how you're feeling?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited to be a presenter this year and looking forward to a good attendance from everyone.
Marjorie, do you want to go next?
I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Some of the other ones, I'm gonna be one of those things where I will be at work, but I might be able to be on the call. So it's going to be maybe a hit and miss kind of thing. But I'm going to try to catch, I will catch tomorrow, and then I'll try to catch the rest of those. And then if we do miss, and I'm assuming that they're recording, can we go back and get the recording things from you so we can tune in on what we might have missed?
Absolutely. All the sessions will be recorded, and then I'm going to be posting them on Eventbrite, and then I'll be using that posting to put to send an email out to everyone with that information, as well as putting that on our social media.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Nativity, Dad, do you want to go next?
I'm looking forward to beautification and for infill, because those are my two favorite right now and necessary needs. So, but I'll be attending all of the sessions, so I'm glad to see everybody.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry, I'm just going around on my screen. Carlton, you're next.
Attending all the classes, either on my computer or on my phone.
Peggy?
Yeah, I'm glad to be on this first one. This is the first thing conference I've been able to attend. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of them. I want to learn and see if there's some things that we can pick up. I've already learned a couple new things today, so it's been great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Thanks for attending today. Julie and Tom, did you have some closing thoughts or how you guys are thinking about things? I'm seeing shaking of heads.
Yeah, I'm impressed by the screen sharing you did, both with videos and some other websites. I mean, it gives me, it motivates me to figure out how to do that. I just never thought about using those kinds of opportunities. So yeah, that's news to me. I'm glad to see how you did it.
Cool.
Yeah, this has been, you know, a first time for us. We're learning too, as we keep saying. So thanks for your patience, everyone. It is kind of fun to use this as practice for future calls and get-togethers. We could do a monthly Ringcentral with all of the Minnesota and Wisconsin rocks. That might be fun. You know, the possibilities are kind of endless. So thanks everyone for joining and figuring out Ringcentral. That's a major accomplishment right there. So it's really good to see everyone, and thanks for taking time out on your Saturday.
All right.
See you later.
Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Tomorrow.
Bye.